Hello, and today we're doing a brief FPL review for Gameweek 34. That's right, it was a decent week for me, despite some certain players giving me the frustrations. But at the end of the day, it was a green arrow, and that's all we want. So you love to see it. Let's review my transfer decisions, my captaincy, and all that lovely stuff. Before you continue though, smash a like on the video, comment down below how you did in this Game Week 34, and let's get into it. So to start off with, we're going to look at player by player, and then we'll kind of do overall gist of the things, really. So the first thing to say, in goal, we had Edouard Mendy facing up against Fulham. Very good fixture, had to play him, and he also usually gets clean sheets at home. So it seemed the perfect opportunity. We hope the West Brom game wasn't going to repeat itself in that respect for a promoted side, but in fact, Mendy pulled an absolute blinder, really good performance, and with Edouard Mendy, he sees those clean sheets everywhere, and he gets them. So some of those saves really were impressive, cat-like reflexes, especially the one that took the deflection, and he kind of was able to readjust his body and get the palm away. But honestly, what a legend. 7 points. That is what we want. And we were thinking about playing Martinez. Thank goodness we didn't, because, of course, we all know he didn't keep the clean sheet up against my team, Everton. But actually, I'm glad that Everton scored with a player that I'll talk about in a second. But Mendy, brilliant game. Shame we couldn't get that bonus point, because he actually was one of the best players for Chelsea in that game. But, you know, that's the way FPL goes against you sometimes. But 3 saves with 1 extra point for that, and a clean sheet is all you kind of want really for a goalie. So 4 points for that. Thank you very much. Very comfortable 2-0 Chelsea win that's put Fulham into even more bother. But Mendy is doing the bits, and you love to see that. Right, now we're moving on to our first defender. And this was our first transfer that we made this week. We brought out the defender that was, of course, Matt Target. The reason for that, lots of yellow cards recently. Villa haven't been keeping too many clean sheets, but I was aware that later down in the line they're going to have a double game week, so might as well keep Martinez for those save points, but there's no need to keep Target for that same reason, because he's just like not quite on form right now. And it was a player that was coming in that same game, Everton v Villa. I fancied a bit more for an attacking return, Luca Digne. What a shout from me. I said it on the FPL Juice podcast for Game Week 34. If you haven't already, check it out. I'll put it in the link in the description. They've got one coming tonight as well, 8:30. It'll be a very spicy one as always. But I said, I'm looking at Everton defenders. Yes, they didn't keep a clean sheet, but they've got good fixtures coming up. They've got the double, and Lucas Digne is just so attacking, and he whips in a wonderful delivery from that corner kick. Lovely assist for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal, and 3 bonus points. It's just beautiful stuff, and it's a great transfer in from me. So there really isn't much I can complain about that. Lucas Digne, there should be a Digne day, because honestly, he is absolutely class. What a great transfer in, and to see those 3 bonuses and assist is just lovely. Moving on to our defence, we had the what's the word? Unplanned? Is that a word? Okay, anyway, we didn't mean to have Castagna playing. We started instead Trent Alexander-Arnold. But as you all know, Man United's game was called off due to Glazer protests, and Castagna comes in. I was hoping that Southampton would actually score, because at that time Castagna was on my bench and I didn't want him to get a clean sheet on my bench. And then I saw Ward-Prowse gets that goal. I called it, by the way, in my FPL preview. But then I'm thinking, oh, okay, Castagna's not going to do anything. That's fine. Then I realised Trent's not going to play, so Castagna, actually, I did want him to do well. It is what it is. 2-pointer. Bit disappointing, and yeah, not ideal, really. And also, the penalty given away by another of my FPL players, and that was, of course, Iheanacho. So, yeah, Castagna, not great from him this week, but he's got such great attacking potential. A bit like Luca Digne. And I was glad that Everton scored for the sake of getting rid of Lucas Matt Target, so that Digne could get points. And in a way, with Leicester, I wanted them to score goals, and it didn't really matter if they conceded for this week, but turns out it did. because Castagna was auto-subbed in for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now we move on to Stuart Dallas. I mean, this guy is a bit of a legend most weeks, but this week, really, really frustrating. Oh, I should have just played Dunk over Dallas because Brighton were at home. They always keep clean sheets at home. I say that, they don't really, but they often lose at home. So that was my thinking, and Dallas is so attacking. And recently, Brighton did just concede to Sheffield United. I just thought maybe Leeds would score more and Dunk would not get that clean sheet. But, of course, Dunk does get that clean sheet. Dallas does nothing, and Dunk gets bonuses just to rub it in. So, absolute frustrating there. So, what can we do? We play Dallas when he's not getting points. We play him when he gets points. It is what it is. And Stuart Dallas, disappointing stuff because conceding 2 goals meant that he got -1 on his total. And as we mentioned, no attack and return there. But he's still a legend. And this week just wasn't exactly ideal. The midfield, Jesse Lingard. Now, this guy, say what you like, he's the player you want to have in your team. But it is his second consecutive blank. We shouldn't read too much into that. Chelsea was always going to be tough. Although Burnley, you'd have fancied a very good fixture. And he, of course, has been scoring goals against Burnley in the past. That double for Manchester United with one of them a really nice flick. But he just wasn't quite in the game as much as we would have wanted. And it was more down that wing and down the sides of the West Ham team. They were really having havoc because the balls in from Kufau and Ben Rama were absolutely quality. And Lingard was playing more of a central role where Antonio was. And Antonio coming back was a massive blow, actually, I think, for Lingard because Lingard plays further forward there. But obviously it is nice because it means that Antonio will finish off the chances provided by Lingard, but he just wasn't able to produce the magic. So, yeah, let's not read too much into that, but it's not exactly ideal when you don't like to see it. But moving on to our midfield, Alan St-Maximin, another player who's auto-subbed in. Didn't start him because of the difficult fixture, and ultimately we know that Bruno Fernandes on his day has got more points potential, he's more explosive, he's got a higher ceiling than someone like Alan St-Maximin. It's a bit frustrating because I brought in St-Maximin as kind of a bit part player, and talking of bit part players, we'll get onto that in a second, but St-Maximin has been doing pretty well in his performances, and I thought, maybe we just bench him this week because it's Arsenal. And Arsenal still aren't brilliant defensively, but I just fancied better players, i.e. Bruno Fernandes this week versus Liverpool. Because you know what Bruno is like. When he gets a penalty, it's just points galore. But now that game gets called off, and actually I didn't realise I wanted St-Maximin to do something there. So, yeah, disappointing to see St-Maximin not quite have that quality and that moment of magic. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. 2-pointer is not ideal to come in for Bruno Fernandes, but there was a good chance where it was a good save from Matt Ryan. The shot was palmed over and it was kind of with his standing leg. St-Maximin kicked it against it and it just looped over and Ryan did enough to do it. But yeah, St-Maximin, shame about that one, but we can't control it. Then Heung-min Son. What an absolute legend. He's really starting to click now. It seems he's just a bit more of a free role under the manager of Mason. So, yeah, that's good. Really, really nice to see. What a finish it was. Curling in past Ramsdale. No chance for him. And Son, he's got that goal threat. We know that's why we've got him. That's why we've often captained him. But, of course, the week that we go and vice-captain him, he goes and hauls big time. And the player that we captain does absolutely nothing. But ultimately, you can't complain. 1 bonus, 1 assist, 1 goal, a clean sheet. Thank you very much, Heung-min Son. Now, we get to the very frustrating one, which is Jared Bowen. Now, it is nearly a moment of genius from me because I bring in Jared Bowen as my second transfer this week for the midfielder of, who is it? You're wondering? Well, that, of course, has to be Diogo Jota because, like some psychic person, I just knew the Liverpool game was going to get called off. Now, I'm joking. Jota was not even starting. He was on the bench anyway, so he wouldn't have probably played all the game. But the point is, Jota's been off form recently, not good. and not got a lot of momentum. So I bring in Jared Bowen for a good fixture versus Burnley, and what happens? He gets benched. Thanks for that, David Moyes. Lovely to see it. You'd think that he'd get used, but no one knew that Antonio would be back. No one knew, by the way, that Cresswell would be back this soon, but fair enough. And Bowen doesn't start. So then I think, okay, that's a nightmare. But actually, it could be a blessing in disguise, because guess who's on that bench? Third substitute, Lewis Dunk. Yes, so therefore, I can get Dunk in. That's an extra 8 points. So that's 12 points I gain from my bench. But no, you just have to frustrate me that little bit more, David Moyes, by bringing him on with 12 minutes to go. Just why? There's just no need. You really can't control those kind of things, and it really does sting at this point in time. It would have been a genius transfer if he actually started. Maybe he goes and gets some points, but it turns out he doesn't play all of the game, but he actually plays enough to not let Dunk's bonuses come on. So yeah, a bit useless there, 1 pointer, but we will move on from that. The captaincy, Harry Kane. Oh dear. So the vice captain did well, but the captain, unfortunately, if he didn't play, it would have been perfect for my vice captain. But he did, and he just didn't have that explosive nature to his game against Sheffield United. Everyone backed Kane against Sheffield United because great fixture, but it didn't happen. And 4 points for Kane, you hate to see it. So there's not much more to say than that, really. It was a bit of a frustrating one. I should have capped Son, but that's always just talking in hindsight. And sometimes when you follow the crowd, you get more points, and sometimes when you don't, you regret it. So I felt like following the crowd this week. Ollie Watkins, 8-pointer. Thank you very much. He has been wonderful since I brought him in. An assist and a goal in the last 2 games. He just keeps on returning, Ollie Watkins. He's really a key part of the way Aston Villa play. And yeah, the fixtures aren't ideal, but he seems to just score in any fixture. And got that double coming up, so you really can't complain with that. And at this point, I'm starting to think, like, Lewis Dunk, why wasn't he first or second on my bench? It's just like the Dallas disaster versus Man City a few weeks ago, all over again. Third player on the bench often never plays, and a few people got jammy with, Ruben Diaz on their bench or playing, so therefore the United, Liverpool and the City players helped them out with bonus points off the bench. But yeah, it's not good, and I didn't get Dunk's points, but it really does suck that United game was called off, because I'm so convinced Trent would have got those points. He probably would have scored a free kick, but no, 0 for him, 0 for Bruno, and he gets subbed off. So it's not ideal, it's got to be said, but Ollie Watkins, though, very good. A goal and 2 bonuses. You really can't be much more consistent than that. And of course, Kelechi Iheanacho gets the return, and I guess we would have wanted a goal, especially with Southampton going down to 10 so early on in the game. Was it a red card? No, thank you. I'm sorry. He doesn't mean to do that. He's won the ball. He's passed back to McCarthy, and it's just on the follow-through that they've given the red card. So VAR is so inconsistent. How they can give that as a red card and then not give a red card for the challenge on Lo Celso, I think it was, by John Fleck, I really don't understand. So Iheanacho at least did, of course, get a goal. It's an assist. It's a shame to see him give away the penalty, because obviously that clean sheet gone for Castagna, but he does at least show a bit of quality to make the redemption, make the improvement with the wonderful assist floated in from that right hand side, and that's just meat and eggs really for Johnny Evans. Is that the right phrase? I think it is, but it's simple stuff really for a player of Johnny Evans' physical aerial ability, and Iheanacho becomes provider instead of scoring the goal. But, he's been amazing, so there's just no questioning his part to play in this team. The bench, though, Martinez 2-pointer, not exactly ideal. Trent didn't play. Fernandez didn't play. And then, of course, that painful dunk on the third part of the bench, 8-pointer. I mean, when he gets 2 bonuses and a clean sheet, you're thinking, like, why didn't I play you? I've got the ability and the skill to actually own you, but then I'm not getting the most out of it. So, yeah, it really does sting when those kind of things happen, but it is what it is. We can't control it, and we've just got to move on, dust ourselves down. But it was a very good game week. Compared to a lot of people's nightmares, I actually had a pretty decent one. So after the bench subs, and with the -4 in consideration, obviously Bowen for Jota was actually a decent one. Only gave me 1 point, but it's still a gain. And Target did nothing, so it was a good transfer for Digne. But after that, Green Arrow is all we wanted, and that's what we got. An increase of 27k up to 281,000 rank. So that is pretty nice. We're going the distance this season, and we've never actually finished inside the top million. So it's been a really, really good season. We've seen to understand and click into gear this season how best to get points. And originally it was 51 points because that's what we scored, which is a pretty solid week. The average was 39, but it goes down to 47 after the -4. So that is my FPL review. Smash a like on it. Comment down below how you got on in Game Week 34. And we shall see you next time in this FPL section with an FPL preview for Game Week 35. And don't forget, Game Week 35 is, of course, a double game week. So points aren't going to stop here. Let's hope for some more. Thanks for watching.